Hi Queens, welcome to my channel. I'm going to do the what I need to do better or what could I improve, as well maybe talk about where the direction I want to take in this channel and really reflect what has been happening to me behind the scene as well. I kind of like doing these videos at the end of the year, especially kind of reflects on what I have progressed in and where I wanted, the type of direction I want to go with this channel. Obviously, you guys have the bigger vote in here. That is really important. I don't make this video for myself. It's, you know, obviously if I want to talk to myself in a room, I can do that without a camera and lights and everything else that comes with it. So I really want to reflect on the stuff that was happening this year, especially we were going to go back all the way from January. So from January onwards, I was practically traveling all over the place. We're talking about state to state. I was in different country, even though it was still in lockdown mode and it was still restricted. I was able to get out of a certain country, and I had a whole different culture experience, especially traveling into a different country. I was in more of a developing country, especially where education wasn't accessible. I was living in the countryside, so it's totally different than whatever I have experienced. I didn't stay in a resort area. I obviously stay like how people were living in the countryside. So we're talking about water being trucked into the house. So we didn't have water supply. So when it comes to water and just like showering and things like that, we have to reserve those and we have to monitor those things, because on island time, it means that, you know, they could be coming anytime and they don't give you a specific time. So I kind of struggle with that, especially coming from a country where I grew up in Canada and lived in the States most of my life. And I kind of struggle with the whole concept, like, you know, they don't give you a specific time when they show up. So I would be always constantly interrupted. Internet wasn't reliable for me. Buying food in general was totally different because the price of food or vegetable or any like produce kind of fluctuate. At least I ate organically. I think that's what the direction when I was staying there, that's what's happening. I got to the point, you know, I was a little bit homesick as well, because the city I always have lived in, the country I always have lived in, I had different diversity of like culture that I grew up. So that was a little bit of culture shock for me. I did stay in a developing country where they did speak English. I'm not comfortable enough to tell you where I was staying, just because the world of internet is kind of small in that way. So, but I had a good, like, overall eye-opening, like, good foundation, like learning from the basic. I obviously was staying in a country where it's very humid. Still in January, February, March, like, I had to learn about insects and stuff like that and how medicine works. I got a lot of bug bites, and unfortunately I had a reaction to that as well. So, you know, medicine in those developing countries was a little bit harder to be accessible. People were cautioned about, you know, putting on masks and, you know, all that thing. And they had curfew hours as well. So I had to comply to those rules. It wasn't like an option. So that was really interesting. In general, I did stay with a friend, so I was really grateful, and she's been living there for over a year, and so I had all that experience on top of it. So I had an overall like a really eye-opening experience when it comes to knowing your basics, and I didn't realize how much like my basic wasn't really basic, if that makes any sense. So that was something that I had to either learn how to adapt, learn some different skills, and also English over there was a little bit different as well. I'm obviously a different race to them as well, so I get a lot of like racial slurs. And from there, I got to the point, enough is enough. I need to get back to the real world, back to America. That's what it is for me. So, and that was interesting, a stepping stone. When you're on the East Coast, it's a totally different culture in the West Coast. going from there. I stay there like another month in that city as well. And obviously, my Spanish is not really up to par as well. So that's something that I've been learning behind the scene, but it forced me to learn it, which I'm also really grateful for that opportunity as well. So I stayed there for another month in that state, and everything was actually quite normal there. Surprisingly, nobody really wore masks. Everybody was like out and open as well. And then we still have that restriction, right? So usually everything kind of closed at 6 p.m. So, which is kind of interesting. For New York City, I lived there at one point of my life as well. And then I was able to do a road trip from New York City all the way back down to California. So that was really interesting on its own path as well. Unfortunately, I was sick throughout the whole trip. I had a cold that I caught from a child in Pennsylvania. Anyways, I was sick throughout the whole driving trip. So going from New York City all the way to California, that was what I was dealing with. So I really needed that break for myself to like go and explore a little bit who I was. You know, I enjoy being isolated for a long period in time, but I noticed that there isn't like growth for me in there. And based on like my personality, I really like to learn, and I wasn't excelling where the level I wanted to excel when it comes to dealing with interacting with people. Being able to learn different culture, trying different things, and just exploring a little bit and put yourself in like tricky situation and learning how to navigate and things like that. So that was a huge learning curve for me, and it was pretty expensive, I would have to say too, with that amount of traveling and being time off and just being away from the internet in general. So now my goal on this channel, I really want to hit 10,000 subscribers. Why do I want to do that to myself? It's not about popularity. I think YouTube has changed quite a bit, and it will always be changing, and it will be the hardest thing to. I'm always going to be in a position of educating. I don't see myself ever being in a position of entertaining, but I'll always be in a position of educating. I'm going to be always continue being educating myself. So going back to school, like academically wise, and I'm still in that role and position. I just took time off for myself, like a gap year pretty much. And I just needed like to get to know back to my own self and know where I stand, especially where these milestones are kind of creeping in as the years go by. So I'm going to be opening for more readings as well. In my membership, I'm going to be creating more videos and content. So I don't think YouTube is ever going to go away, if anything. It's going to give you accessible information, especially longer videos. Unfortunately, I can't do long videos on YouTube. I don't think the attention span is there, and I want you guys to get the benefit, and I'm going to put the effort. You're willing to put an investment for yourself to learn these skills that I'm going to be sharing with you. I think it's really important. I'm obviously going to be opening readings in there because the membership is such valuable information. If we're going to do Q&As and stuff like that, I'm happy to do like chart readings there. I don't really want to do it like publicly, like live chat. I can hang out in there and we can chat a little bit. I think it'll be a lot of fun to get to know me in that way. So I had to kind of put my schedule in that and see how that's going to work out with my, schoolings and completing that. That is my goal. It's always been my goal, just to complete finishing my doctors and stuff like that. And so it's really my priority in that state. Lots has changed. I've been moving around here and there. So sometime my setup is going to be a pop-up setup like this, where I just have a white wall, which I kind of like. Sometimes I can do some writing in there as well. So that kind of helps with either the branding, myself, or lecturing. It just helps distraction as well. If you, especially you have ADD or ADHD, we're just living in a very fast pace. You're more than welcome to always speed up the video. That's how I best learn. If the more exposure I have, we always can do the 25 minutes of learning and then pause and then resume again. within that time period when I had structures like that. I think it was very helpful. But sometimes too much structure, it just really brings you down. I have noticed that as well. I was really working on my body as well, focusing on my health, the direction I want to take. I was been playing around with my hair color as well. If I really want to stay with this color, what are the things that I want to change about me, and how can I make things better for my audience as well. So those are the knowledge that I gained throughout the whole process. Do I give myself my own reading? Yes and no. The reason why I say that, you're just as good as you give your recommendation. I'm always looking for ways to improve, or even seeing my own blind spot. I'm aware of my own blind spot, but sometimes having a coach to actually help you break certain habits in the very beginning, or even being self-aware, is very helpful. Even the way that I have done my interview, I have improved quite a bit. If you go back to all the way back to my videos like a few years ago, I think I have significantly have changed. Even my, equipment has changed as well. I have looked at that. So those are the things that I like to invest. And I notice a lot of you guys want even more astrology, which is kind of interesting in general. My Lagna is one thing, and I'm going to be teaching this in one of my videos. There is what we call an audience, what you guys kind of want me to look like. It doesn't matter what my Lagna looks like. It's what you guys want me to look like. And I see that in my chart ever more than anything else. So me reaching out and saying to you guys, be like, hey, what are the things that you want to see? And so far, it's been focusing still on the topic of relationship, which I'm really grateful for. I'm glad I haven't navigated to the beauty industry. I know that I'm going to be doing more short videos. And I think if I touch base on like little short videos and tips about how to read a certain chart, I think that would be grow the channel as well. So I'm going to be making, 30-day challenge to how I was doing it before. But now I'm going to be focusing on astrology per se. I did it for dating and fashion, and I wanted to make sure it's fun so that you guys can kind of join along as well. Especially if you want to be dating a certain like zodiac sign or a certain nakshatra, or like, I want to incorporate that. I also want to integrate more of the tropical. I am a tropical astrologer, but I use a lot of Jyotish techniques. I know it's a little bit where it's taboo. You shouldn't be doing that, and you shouldn't be using modern like planets as well. You should be just using traditional. You can do a lot of things, but if it makes the prediction helpful, but sometimes having less is better, that I have noticed. And that's why I was probably in a developing country. Like my basic wasn't basic. I can tell you that. I gave up at one point. I ordered stuff on Amazon and got it delivered in a developing country. I know. Shame on me, right? I probably can hear that in the comment down below. But that's the truth. Like I thought I had it all basic. No, I was not very basic. So sometimes just even doing a voiceover would be just helpful, and you guys can just listen to that more than it was important to actually see me on camera. So I'm going to try to do more horary videos, because I think that technique in prajna is so helpful. You don't even need a birth chart. You just cast the chart of the time. I can even tell you what is happening in your romantic relationship or your business, just even looking at just casting a chart of the time. Obviously, there is certain rules that when you cannot read the chart. There's obviously certain things when you say, this chart is not readable, and I don't want to ruin, the outcome of it as well, because there's an opportunity that I can make a mistake as well. That being said, that's the direction I want to take on this channel. I'm obviously going to do more stats on dating, because I'm really more curious about, people who are single, what is happening in the world, where the stat is coming from as well. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy the mathematics behind it as well, and what is probably an outcome, especially certain states and stuff like that. I'm obviously going to always do neuroscience stuff because I really like working on brains, and that's like left versus right brains and trauma type of brains, or brains that been abused with alcohol or trauma itself. I'm always going to be in that direction. That is my focus in my study, because I really strongly believe that when you have a healthy brain, you have a healthy relationship. I truly believe in that. I'm going to stick with my gun. I'm going to stick with the study. I'm going to power through this. I'm obviously going to use the spiritual component. It's very important. Basically, this year, I wanted just to focus on family. It's important to me. It's part of my chart. It's part of my dharma. It's part of my karma. Yeah, I think that's the direction I want to take from here. We're going to do more astrology interview as we go. I know there's certain requests that you guys want so-and-so to come back. I'm happy to bring him back if he's available to do so. It's just timing wise. We're all, as astrologer, we go through tough times too. And, we also go our downtime as well. And sometimes it's the time we need to pause and step back a little bit. I was in my 12th health perfection year. So I've been spending a lot of isolation time. But isolation time for me doesn't mean like I get to know myself. It just means like I'm doing more research than normal. I'm not interacting with the outer world as much. And if getting your chart read is important to help you plan a little bit better, I think it's so helpful. Solar return that I have learned over the years, there is a repeating pattern. I'm going to save a video for that specifically later on, but I really want to focus on that component, that there is a such thing that you can plan your life a little bit better, especially. You can see the speed of the planet, how fast you're going to be going through some of these lessons, or how slow it is going to be. When I say lesson, it doesn't mean it's bad or good. It just means that here's some stuff that you want to tackle down to help you grow a little bit here and overcome your maturity. And that's what it is. All planets has maturity. Unfortunately, this is the direction that needs to happen in order to either co-create or leave a legacy if that's what you want, or progress in life, or even have a clear identity where you stand, where you are today. And if you don't have that at the moment, you're just fine. You're doing just fine, okay? Don't stress over it. I remember that I used to stress like, I'm not fast enough, I'm not blah, blah, blah. And, now I'm just like, you know what? This is the direction it's taken me. I have a goal in mind. I'm just going to get to the finish line. And whatever it's going to take, it's all about getting to the end of the goal. Like, that's it. Like, that's what matters to me the most. Anyways, this video is getting long. That's what I kind of like want to sum up about where the direction I want to go, what I want to do with my channel, what I'm going to do with the membership as well, and what are the things that I want to create. I'm happy to open for donation. You can always have that. I think I have that in the down below. If not, there's always a thank you button. I totally appreciate that, because content creating is hard work too. And, I really want to give credit for those who actually watch me and want to learn a little bit more about themselves. That makes me really happy as well, because I think I'm kind of getting through you. And even though if the stuff I'm saying you kind of disagree, it's still opened up your mind and avenue, but there is a different perspective instead of this just one way. And maybe you're more combative. I don't know. But sometimes it's just having a different voice, having deliver message different ways or different avenues or different perspective. That is growth. That's helping with your brain as well, absorbing information, even though you disagree with it. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I'll see you next year. Bye now.